Okay, sir. Recording has started. You can go ahead, sir. Thank you, sir.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Prof, if you can put on your video now. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Brothers and sisters in Islam, I greet all of us using that universal way that is Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam admonished us to use in greeting each other. This morning we have very privileged to have an international scholar of repute. We have in our midst Professor Afiz Oladosu, a professor of Arabic and Islamic studies. Coincidentally, and when I go through his resume now or his profile, you see what I'm talking about. He also happens to be the very first Muslim to serve as the Dean of Faculty of Arts, University of Ibadan, and that speaks volume about his scholarship. Professor Anyide is a professor of Arabic and Islamic studies, like I mentioned. Professor Afiz Anyide Oladosu. His scholarly horizon and expertise straddle cultural criticism, Islamic orthopraxis, Arab/Muslim modernities, Christian-Muslim relationships. He once served as the national president of the Muslim Student Society of Nigeria, and currently and on an ongoing basis provides consultancies on pro bono basis to many Muslim organizations in Nigeria and abroad, including the Nigerian Supreme Council for Islamic Affairs. Before his promotion to the rank of a professor at the University of Ibadan in 2011, Professor Oladosu had won many international fellowships and scholarships, including the Fulbright Scholarship, and he was once a visiting professor at the International Islamic University of Malaysia. He recently also completed his sabbatical leave at the University of Ghana, after which he was elected as the first Muslim Dean of Faculty of Arts, University of Ibadan. He is a member of several professional bodies, among which is I don't know whether he's a member or a fellow, but he's clearly a member of the Nigeria Academy of Letters. He has also served as a member of the Governing Council of the National University Commission. So that is our lecturer this morning, widely traveled, very cosmopolitan. So we have an opportunity to listen to him. Bismillah, Prof.
Thank you, sir. Auzubillahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. We thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala who has made it possible for us to be here together during this month of Ramadan. We affirm the power and the authority of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala over all entities in nature. We affirm and we acknowledge his blessings on us. And as I always like to say, we thank him for those blessings that are countable. We thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for those other blessings that are subtle and benign, and they remain uncountable. But if we were to do the counting, we would discover that we will not be able to do so. And that's why Allah even says in the Quran, وَإِن تَعُدُّوا نِعْمَةَ اللَّهِ لَا تُحْصُوهَا. So we thank Allah for those blessings that we can't thank him for. We affirm his oneness. He started he was the one who put this world together. To him belong the beginning. It's going to be the last, and nothing will take over after him. The question can be asked, since when did Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala take control of the heavens and the earth? That question is baladash, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the creator of time. The third other question is also baladash. Where is Allah? Whoever says, where is Allah? The response should be, where is it that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala cannot be found? The question of the authority of divinity in our reality has occupied the attention of scholars across different times and climes. including those eras that belong not to Islam. In this instance, I recall philosophical interventions from Aristotle, from Plato, from people like that. Aristotle is the one who was reported to have said that the similitude of Almighty God. And I found that interesting. Yeah, somebody referenced and acknowledging the existence of God without actually professing any faith, maybe faithless faith, in other words. He said the similitude of Almighty God is like a circle, the center of which is everywhere, the circumference of which is nowhere. In other words, in order for you to commit an infraction against his divine pleasure, ensure that you do that where he won't be able to see you. Who taught this to us? It was Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, who was taught to teach this to us. Muhammadun Basharun wa laysa kal bashar. He was a human being like me and you. Kana ya'kulu, kana yashrabu, kana yamshi fil aswaq. The Meccan unbelievers, when he rose up that day and invited them, they said, what kind of prophet are you? You eat that which we eat, you drink that which we drink. We see you in the Okas Makkah here. How could you now begin to say that you're a prophet of Allah? And the Allah you are referencing, we don't know just what we know of gods, not God. Allah now commanded the Prophet to tell them, قُلْ إِنَّمَا أَنَا بَشَّرٌ مِثْلُكُمْ يُوحَى إِلَيَّ أَنَّمَا إِلَهُكُمْ إِلَهٌ وَاحِدٌ. In the last ayah of Surah 18 of the Quran, that popular chapter known as Surah Al-Kahf, Allah said, tell them, oh Muhammad, it's been revealed to me that your Lord, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, is one. Its oneness cannot be duplicated. Its oneness cannot be trinitized. Allah says in the Quran, لَوْ كَانَ فِيهَا إِلَهَيْنِ مِن دُونِ اللَّهِ لَفَسَدَتَا. Imagine a situation where there were to be two gods on earth, or two gods in the cosmos, one in the heavens and the other on earth. Allah says, La fasadata, there's no doubt in the fact that there will be chaos, there will be commotion, there will be trepidation, there will be things will not be what and where they should be. Because the one in heaven would say, I want to send out the rain. The one on earth would say, I don't need your rain. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the Prophet tells us, is one. And he is the one in control of all our affairs. It's to him that we need to submit. We do the submission. The best submission we should manifest in relation to our Creator is submission by choice. I say that every entity in the world, that every human being in our cosmos are Muslims. You're either a Muslim by choice, or you're a Muslim by chance, or you're a Muslim by force. In other words, those who do not even profess Islam, they are Muslims by force. They do not have an option. Reference their birth, reference their living, reference the day they will transit from there to there. They are the beat in them submits to the power of Almighty Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and they have no choice about it. There's nothing they can do. But for us, those of us gathered here this morning, we are Muslims by choice. We choose Islam because Islam for us is better by far. It's better by far for should I say 4 reasons. 1, for the comprehensiveness of this religion. 2, for the universality of this religion. 3, for its practicality. And 4, for its historicity. When people ask me why is Islam my choice, I tell them Islam is my choice because Islam is a complete package. It's a complete package. A professor once confronted one of our senior professors at University of Ibadan, and it was, why is you talk about Islam all the time? You say it's a way of life. I get tired of that. Then the professor responded, don't you see that the way you work on earth, you are also guided by the Quran. The Quran expects you to work humbly on earth. Allah says, as creatures of the Almighty, you are expected to comport yourself with humility, with that constant recognition of the fact that you are expirable entities. So comprehensiveness of this religion. The reason I'm a Muslim, and the reason we are gathered here as Muslims today, is that we affirm, we acknowledge that this religion is practical. The practicality of this religion, you can't have it in other parts, in any other, you can't see that in any other religion. We are fasting here in Nigeria between 5:20 and 6:37. Those in Alaska now will be fasting maybe for 4 hours or 5 hours now. Those of them in UK may be fasting from dawn to 8 p.m. At another time, it could be 10 p.m. at night. So it's a practical religion. Universality of this faith, of this religion, for me, stands far apart from others. But when you talk about that, you bring to mind the fact that as Muslims, you go to Mecca, you do Umrah, you do Hajj, you meet American, you're in Nigeria, you come in contact with Malaysian, you from Malaysia, you come in contact with someone from Australia. All of you will be doing the same thing at the same time, doing the same talbiyat, labbaik Allahumma labbaik. The difference in our ethnic circumstances becomes nugatory as soon as we enter the Kaaba, as soon as we come together as Muslims. So we are gathered together today because we want to also benefit from this unquantifiable season of forgiveness that the month of Ramadan affords us. And the choice of today's topic by our Oga, it's also very, very pertinent. It's now the social media and the future of our nation. Why Islam? Why Islam? Why me? Just like a footballer once, I've forgotten his name, he scored a goal, then I saw him there, he removed his jersey, and there you see, we saw that the jersey, why me? Why is Islam or constantly the issue? The religion of Islam, it's always the issue because we can't separate Islam from the Muslims. Unlike Christianity, Islam continues to be held responsible for Muslim actions and inactions all over the world. Muslims continue to be held accountable for Muslims continue to be used as a measure with which Islam, as a measurement with which Islam can be defined by those who would not bother to read the Quran or to read the Hadith. Islam continues to be held responsible for Muslim action and actions. Muslims continue to be seen as the image of Islam. You see an hijabi sister. I tell those of them on campus, time I have the opportunity to address audiences, people will not read the Quran, but they will read you. So Islam is always there. That's one of the reasons Islam is always at the front burner of global discourse. The reason for this is not lost on us. Unlike other faiths, Islam is probably the only religion that seeks to merge between the sacred and the mundane. Islam is the only religion that seeks to build not only the empire of the earth, but equally the cauldron of the heavens. Thus, whenever a Muslim commits fraud or commits an infraction, Islam is docked together with him, with the suspect, unlike the situation on the other side of the fence. Whenever that other guy commits an infraction, only would people bring his faith to the discourse. No, they find it easy to separate between the person who professes that other faith and his action. Among many challenges confronting those of us and all of us, not only scholars of Islam today, all of us as Muslims, we are constantly the subject of inquiry. Islam has constantly become like the flower pot or the sugar verse around which congregates the ants and the honeybees. A couple of days ago, I did a presentation and I invited my audience to ponder these lesser creatures in our world. The lecture was titled of ants, bees, birds, and mosquitoes. So by ants and honeybees, I refer to scholars of different academic persuasions who have become scholars. When you have scholars, I also think we also have scholars of religion, those who study Islam as regularly as they observe Muslims, the 5 daily prayers. So some of these scholars, Islam provides the greatest attraction for money and material gains. On campus, it's a reality that you have more professors of Islam among Christians than you have professors of Christianity among Muslims. In fact, in Nigeria, there's no Christian professor of Christianity who happens to be a Muslim, but you have Christian professors of Islam. Imagine the billions of dollars being made overnight by scholars who are studying Islam, not for them to discover the truthfulness about Islam, but for them to find arguments with which they would attack this faith without mincing words. We are all bearers, witnesses to this fact that there's a concept in scholarship known as Orientalism. Orientalism has to do with interests of non-Muslim scholars in Islam and Muslim world. Without the attraction that Islam has for them, they will not do that. That kind of attraction, you don't have it. You can't find it in any other faith. Again, Islam, when we bring Islam to discuss, when we say Islam, the social media, and the future of our nation, the category of Islam mentioned here remains an enigma for other reasons that are internal to Islam, other than to the Muslims. In other words, we are in the month of Ramadan. It's a month in which, just as Allah says in Surah Baqarah, ayah 184, Shahru Ramadan, alladhi unzila fihi al-Quran. This is a month in which the Quran was revealed. So in the month of Ramadan, we have an opportunity to review, to re-envision, to reconfigure, to reimagine, to recalibrate our faith, to begin to question ourselves where we are, and where should we be, what's our essence, what are we doing, what's the consequence of our actions. In the contemporary period, appropriating what is Islam, understand essentially what the religion stands for, has become a challenge, no thanks to the activities of those other Muslims amongst us. So in the month of Ramadan, I mentioned this in a lecture again a couple of weeks ago. Weeks to Ramadan, days to Ramadan, we hear our ulama, our imams recite unto us ayah 183 of Surah Al-Baqarah, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu kutiba alaykumus siyam. I engaged my audience last week or so. I said, who amongst you, when Allah says, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu, oh, you believe, have you ever bothered to ask yourself, believe in what? That phrase, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu. Allah has not said, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu billah. Allah has not said, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu bil malaika. Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu bil kutub. Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu bil yawmil akhir. Allah stops by saying, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu, inviting us to ponder, to provide, to fill in the gap. So this intervention today is meant to remind us, connecting Islam, the social media, and the future of our nation, and indeed our own future. This month, this event, this congregation, this convocation today provides us the opportunity to remind ourselves of the internal challenges that we have as Muslims. In other words, there are no worse enemies of Islam than Muslims. And that's a fact. There are no worse enemies of Islam than Muslims. If you want to take that to events around the world, you see 1,001 evidences and reasons for that. In another presentation years ago, titled Muslim Elite and Elite Muslims, I said there are no Muslims do not have worse enemies other than Muslims themselves. So when we talk about Islam today, oftentimes we need to ventilate that category to remind us essentially of what it means, so that we'll not run the illusion or the risk of that assumption that people know what they feel, what they claim they know. Oftentimes, ignorance is a pleasure, just like madness is pleasure. The pleasure there lies in the ignorant. It's only known to the ignorant person, just like the pleasure in madness is also known only to the madman. Now, when we talk, now let's begin to unpack these categories. Islam, ma'na Islam. Years ago, many years ago, at the secondary school, we were told that Islam is submission to the will of Almighty Allah. Now, at this level, we go beyond that. We say that Islam can be figured in a rectangle. Angle number one features that of ideology. Angle number two features that of ritual worship. Angle number three features that of sociology. Angle number 4 features, that of eschatology. In other words, when we talk about Islam, we are talking about an entity, the subject, the human being, who is situated at the center of a rectangle. It needs to relate to these 4 angles in order for him to be able to meet Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala radiyatan mardiyatan, just like so that his soul will be pleased with Allah and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will also be pleased with him. So the angle, the Muslim at the center of the rectangle, the first sphere of interest, of responsibility that you have to attend to is that of ideology. The Muslim is he who believes in that would
It looks like that's
you call some chapters in the Quran, they begin with letters that are seemingly unknowable. Chapter 2, that chapter that we want to do Walimatul Quran, the 5th ayah we read there begins with Alif Lam Mim Zalikal Kitabul Arayba Hudan lil Muttaqin. Allah says the Quran is a guidance for those who are pious, who are God conscious. What are they, or who are they? Alladhina yu'minuna bil ghaib. They believe in the unseen. They believe in that which cannot be seen. Question arises: why is it that we can't see it? Scholars in Al-Azhar University in Egypt often once pondered this question. In a book titled Al-Yawaqit wal-Jawahir, they ask themselves, why is it that we can't see Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on earth? Why is it that I can't see Allah here now? But I can still actually see him in his ways, in his deeds, in his creatures, in his wonders, in the wonders that he does all of the time. Then they posited a number of suggestions. Number 1, for me, this is the key. Al-Fani, expirable entities. Expirable entities. Like me and you. There's no way we can see that which is eternal here on earth, because we are fashioned, we are made of perishable elements. One day, Prophet Musa one of his interaction with Allah, ask Allah, Ya Rabbi man ant, oh my Lord, who are you? And Allah asked him again, Faman anta ya Musa, you Musa, who are you? Then Musa then placed his hand, just like you would do. Somebody confronts you with that question, who are you? Intuitively, I will put my hand on my chest and beat my chest and say, I'm Abdul Hafiz, I'm Abdul Hafiz. But you are beating your chest, you're you. In other words, in order for us to know who Allah is, in order for us to believe in him, in order for us to be able to relate to him the way we should, we need to understand who he is. Man arafa nafsahu arafa rabba, wa man arafa rabba arafa nafsahu. Abu Bakr Siddiq, radiyallahu ta'ala, is reported to have said that he who knows himself will know his creator, and he who knows his creator will know himself. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the guy, the Muslim brother, sister, at the center of that rectangle, the first sphere of activity for him is to connect his ideology, his faith, his spirituality with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He has to ensure that the connection between him and Allah is perpetually there. No corruption, no intervention, no interpolation. The reason for that is this: the day Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created me and you, there was no intermediary between him and me. The day he decided to create me, there's that connection between me and him. He fashioned me in my mother's womb. Allah says, I'm the one who fashioned you in the womb of your mothers. A creature after a creature, different stages. 25 years ago, this was said to Prophet Muhammad sallallahu, that human beings were created from in their mother's womb in different stages. in 3 layers of darkness. That was a time science was there was nothing like science. There was not like biology. There was nothing like this machine with which you have insight into what that which is in the womb. And that says we created human beings in 3 different layers. Scholars of Tafsir will now say Zulmatul Batn, Zulmatul Rahim, what Zulmatul Al-Bruni. The 3 layers of darkness comprises the darkness of the stomach, the darkness of the fetus, the womb in which the baby is inside its mother, then Zulmatul Burni, the darkness of the amnion fluid. These are the 3 layers of darkness that Allah is referencing here, and from which Allah, with which Allah is also arguing that our connection with Him should admit of no intermediary. So that Muslim who is fasting today, the reason we make Islam a subject, a category today, and this topic is to remind us of the necessity for us to ensure that our ideology, what we have our art, which scholars in fiqh will refer to as aqidah, our faith in Allah is sound. We believe unshakably that He is the one who does it. We have that belief that He is one. If He has not done it, that means it is not yet time for Him to do it. If that does not mean He is also not going to do it. Delay is not denial. Delay is not denial. Ayah 186 of Surah Al-Baqarah. Allah says, "Idha sa'alaka ibadi anni." That is, I'm trying to work on our faith here, on our belief in Allah. Allah says, "Oh Muhammad, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, idha sa'alaka ibadi anni fa'idni qarib." If my servant asks you about me, tell them I am near to them. Allah, unlike the style of Allah in other portions of the Quran, when the Sahaba, whenever they went to him and asked him questions for which they seek discernment, Allah will now say, Angel Jibril will go to the Prophet and the ayah will now read, "Yes, alunaka an shay'in." They ask you about something. Only tell them. So, but in this instance, Allah is also emphasizing the connectivity between our ideology. What should be the connection? The connectors between our ideology and its divinity. Allah says, "Idha sa'alaka ibadi anni fa'inni qarib." I'm nearer to you more than you can imagine. There can't be any other entity apart from Him, because it's one who has brought us here. It's one who's ensuring that we are here, we remain here. It's one who's ensuring that we breathe in and out 180 times per minute. It's the one who is responsible that we grow silently without knowing it. The other day, I discovered that there is white eye on my eyelids. The other day, I was driving at this on campus, at the city of Baba. Somebody was saying Baba. Then I looked at myself in the mirror. So I've also become a Baba, not knowing that but the Babaness had caught up with me without me knowing. So the Islam being situated, referencing or being mediated within this triangle. The first rectangle of that triangle has to do with ensuring that we have a sound faith in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And this will come into focus when we go to the second angle of the triangle of worship, ensuring that our prayers in the month of Ramadan, everything we are doing, we continue to do them after Ramadan is gone. We are praying properly now. Let that situation not arise where somebody will accuse you that Ramadan. They become devils. They are angels during Ramadan. But as soon as Ramadan is gone, then they become devils. That should not happen to us. If that happens to us, then that first angle of the rectangle is sick, is weak. That means our connection with Allah is not okay. A sister, I saw, she wants to enter the mosque the other day, and she removed her hijab from her bag just because before she stepped inside the mosque. Then I asked myself, is my sister saying that Allah is only found inside the mosque? Allah is not there outside the mosque, because she is coming from somewhere, and the injunction from the divine in the right, this rectangle, the first angle of the rectangle is that she should perpetually be in hijab whenever she steps out of her palace. So the second angle of the rectangle has to do with worship and ibadah, ensuring that the connection between our faith in Allah is manifested physically in the way we worship. We attend to acts of worship, salah, siyam, and zakat, and hajj for those who can. The third angle of triangle is mu'amalat. You are nobody if people find no value in you. Afdalun nas, man yafa nas. The best Muslim who want to manifest, who can preach about Islam is he who benefits people. Number two, and I want to go back again to angle number one, the angle of divinity. The Prophet ﷺ, while giving functional, exemplification of this connection between angle 3 and the angle number 1, it says, La imana liman la amanata lahu. If you say you're a Muslim, you are fasting in the month of Ramadan, you are worshiping Allah, you do salah, you are fasting in the month of Ramadan. Angle number 3 here has to do with your relation with others in the society. The MD now gives you 10,000 naira. Abdul Kabir, keep this 10,000 naira for me. I'm going to collect it back from you next week. 10,000 naira, 1,000 naira is marked 10001. Number 1,000, and the second note is marked 1002 till the last one, 10010. 10,000, I'll keep it for me. I'll take it back from you next week. But by the time next week comes, Abdul Kabir presents 10,000 naira in truth to the MD. But it's a different, the numbering on the notes are different because he has made use of them. By implication, Abdul Kabir has not shown fidelity to the connection between his spirituality and the divinity that demands that we relate with people based on trust. We ensure that our trust is not affected in any way by our circumstances. So that's what we also say, La imana, he doesn't have faith, man la amanata lahu, he who cannot be trusted. So when we talk about the third angle of the triangle, of the rectangle, we are talking about the way a Muslim should comport himself. And in fact, I remember this, a Muslim who is fasting this month of Ramadan, who wants people to appreciate Islam in him, should be like the honeybee. Should be like the honeybee. And what's the honeybee? What's special about the honeybee? La ta'kul illa tayyiban, wa la takhruju minha illa tayyiban. The honeybee does not eat anything except that which is pure, and nothing comes from the honeybee except that which is pure. The fourth angle, quickly, of the rectangle has to do with eschatology. We are here because we were once not here. We are now here because after a while we shall cease to be here. So being a Muslim is to manifest our constant preparation for the day of transition. And that is these are the premises upon which our intervention today is based. The Muslim today, as Muslims, an elder once said that there are two types of realities that we encounter in the world. One of them is realities that we met once when we came to the world. The second one has to do with realities that have met us while we have already found ourselves in the world. One of the realities that has caught up with some of us, depending on what age we are. I mean, how old are we today? Is the social media. When we talk about the social media as Muslims, there are three different funny perspectives to it. At the time, some time ago, some Muslims were saying that you should not be on the internet. You should not be on Facebook. Instagram is haram. This is haram. They said that because they considered, they engaged the social media from, as I always like to say, entities in nature can be analyzed from at least two perspectives. Perspective number one is that of the horticulturist. Perspective number two is that of the sanitary inspector. So this brother of mine, or those brothers of ours, were looking at the social media from the posture of the sanitary inspector. They closed their eyes to the goodies in the social media. Social media, as we know, for me, it's like a throwback. It's like one of the patrimonies given to Prophet Sulaiman Adeduntan. In Surah Al-Naml, you read about Prophet Sulaiman Adeduntan. Prophet Sulaiman, you recall, was a prophet of Allah who Allah blessed with that blessing, the kind of which had not been given to anybody and will not be given to anybody else until the day of the resurrection. Allah in Surah Naml, Surah chapter 27, ayah 16, 17, 18, 19, 28, up to 31. Even before that, Allah talks about those blessings He grants to Prophet Sulaiman, the ability to hear birds sing. When birds sing, Prophet Sulaiman would understand what they say or what they're saying. When an ant speaks, Prophet Sulaiman understand what the ants are saying. He had authority over genes, he had authority over human beings. He was given such blessing. And at the end of the day, it says, he recognized those blessings, not as blessing that he merited, but as privileges from Allah. So for me, social media is the ability for us, for me to speak with you seated as I am outside Nigeria and as you are inside Nigeria. It's one of those places of Allah. And Allah in Quran 7, ayah 32, it says, Kul man harrama zinat Allah, allati akhraja li ibadi. Kul wa tayyibat min rizq. Allah says, who amongst you would say that this is unlawful, this is haram, this is prohibited, of the good things in the world? Nobody should say this is haram. Nobody should declare ex cathedra that this is haram, this is prohibited. And reference in the social media, the advantages that we have in it, that we experience, that we see every day on a daily basis, that we derive from it. There's no doubt in the fact that it has a lot of benefits for us. And in fact, it reminds me of some of the principle of Islamic jurisprudence. One of which is that al-mashaqqa tajlib al-taysir. Now, whenever there are difficulties, people are facing difficulties, it is incumbent on humankind to try and find ways to solve those problems, to overcome those challenges. Al-mashaqqa tajlib al-taysir. Whenever they succeed in doing that, then all of them should partake of it with reason, with caution. Now, what are the advantages in social media? It's like taking coal to Newcastle. We know that it's a platform for education, no doubt about that. The social media affords that. So our kids, our children now know more than we know when we were 20, 30, 40 years ago. This has been made possible by the social media. The social media affords those of us in the corporate world the opportunity to have larger audience, opportunity to have quality brands. We are happy whenever our brand is liked. They say like me. For those who are internet social media service, they know what having large followers mean. Social media ensure that we are current and up to date, depending on how much of the information you want to have. If you don't want to sleep 24/7, you'll be saturated with the data that would come your way. The social media connects us with the world faster and easier than we could ever have imagined. And it comes cheap. With 1,000 naira, I do buy data. I can access what is happening in the US as I'm speaking now. The distance, the geographical boundaries, the boundaries that separates the world out has been liquidated by virtue of the social media. No doubt about that. there's something they now call influencers. These are people who haven't succeeded in having a brand. You now have millions of people flocking after them, following them, as they used to say. I say, you have them among musicians. Once they get succeed in having a music that's producing a music that has caught people's attention, you have people, millions of people. Not only will they make money, and whatever they are saying becomes a replacement for the years to be life for the Quran and the Bible. The other day, one of them, I had somebody saying legbe, 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 legbe. I was wondering, what is legbe, legbe? Then I asked one of the young guys around me. He said, that's the music from one of the musicians that was saying legbe, legbe. Then there's another one who was saying, Mama lowo mi, Shima lowo mi, whether they like it or not, Mama lowo. And before you know it, young guys are mimicking, parroting, so the youth, the guy, the musician has become a social influencer, influencing people, influencing young generation of Nigerians, and in fact, outside Nigeria, with this mentality, with this ideology of making it here and now. So that's what one of the things that social media makes possible for us today. It's a platform for dawah. No doubt about that. Just as I said, this is possible because of the opportunity the digital age has made possible for us. Speaking to one another, and all of us are located, situated in the peaceful circumstances that we find ourselves today. That is possible, and that's made possible by the social media, by this digital age that we find ourselves in. The more we ponder the advantages of the social media, the connection that it facilitates for our youth to get together, the more we have quite to say. But for me, despite the advantages, I'm concerned that the social media, just like our brothers who are looking at the negative side and who are arguing, it has a lot of disadvantages. And that's where our concern for the future is situated. For example, the social media is replacing human-to-human contact. And that's an aspect of a future of the digital age that we find ourselves in. You will get to the airport now, you want to check in, the machine will be checking you. You get to the bank now, the first bank, you have you are told to do some transaction without any human interaction or intervention. So the humanity that we bring into our life is constantly being eroded. Somebody came to the bank suffering from complications from different ailments. He couldn't see. He has challenges with vision. Then he has to be on queue. When he gets to where the thing should be done, he was told that he has to interface with the machine. So these are challenges. So the social media creates challenges for us as human beings, just like modernity has done for us as a whole. I mean, as a whole, we now also experience social isolation. In other words, sometimes a family of 5 will be at the sitting room. All of us have a phone handset in our hands. I'm interacting with my friend in Malaysia. My wife is interacting with her friend in America. My daughter is interacting with her friend in Dubai. My son is interacting with her friend in Germany. And all of us, there'll be silence in our house. Everybody's busy. We're all in different worlds. We'll need something to not just back into our reality that we are located at Ibadan or Lagos or Kaduna, that we are not in the virtual. In fact, what the social media does is trying to take us from the physical to the virtual, to the end. We are gradually transiting from from internet to internet of things, just like one of the thinkers said the other time. So we are gradually moving or losing our humanity. Machine, phones are displacing that. Aside from that, there's social disintegration, and this is key. And I remember in this instance, an incident that happened a couple of months ago before it was around December. A girl, a young lady in Nigeria needed to buy JAMB form. Her mom told her, it's not how much they sell UTME forms. Then she responded, no, what I need is iPhone 10. Is it iPhone 10 or iPhone 11? Her mom said, iPhone 11. What about your JAMB form? She said, no, what she needs was an iPhone 11. She wants to be on the internet. She wants to catch up with the world. Then her father came into the discussion and upbraided her. I mean, what do you mean? This social media is more important than your education. Point blank, she said, my dad, I need an iPhone. JAMB form can wait. Before you know it, this girl posted her interaction with her mom and dad on Instagram. Was Instagram this, and there's another something chat. Before you know it, it attracted hundreds of responses from those who felt that our parents were not good enough by denying her the iPhone that she said she wanted. And in fact, one of them went ahead to send money to her to buy the iPhone. That's where we are today. Now, the social media seeks to provide interventions where such interventions would create issue for for the notion of family that we had before. Aside from that, it creates challenge for us of self-esteem. In other words, once you are a Facebooker, I say Facebooker, I couldn't include, I get what I mean. You are active on the Facebook, you post something on the internet or social media, you expect people to like you, not like what you post. You derive happiness, your sense of self-worth, your identity. People's identities nowadays are now they've been defined by the number of likes that their posts now generate on the social media. And the more those posts attract likes, the more, the happier they become. And the lesser the likes their posts generate, the sadder they become. So it creates issue of self-worth. Aside from that, we now have what we call echo chambers. You belong to groups on social media that you feel would satisfy your desire. Groups that once this group is questioning your belief, you are not okay with it, you move away, you delete yourself, you exit, then you move to other ones. Aside from that, then you now have addiction. When I say addiction, almost every one of us, we are now addicted to the social media. If you are on WhatsApp, oh my God, there's a platform. You sleep at 10 p.m. every night. Before you wake up tomorrow, you have 1,200 messages waiting for you to read. As you are trying to catch up with that, another 1,000 has caught up with you. So when the MD said his phone is calibrated to delete WhatsApp messages almost automatically, then I said that's the way to go. So we are now, almost everybody who is active on social media today, we are indirectly suffering from an addiction to the social media. Almost every time our phone is in our hands, we hold our phone many times than we hold the Quran. We are always anxious. We're always expectant of other messages. And if those other messages are not here, then we begin to have issues amongst ourselves. And that's ironically and unfortunately the reality we find ourselves today. What about fake news? As Muslims, Quran chapter 49, ayah 6 says,
Whenever you have a story come to you from quarters you are not certain, but you ensure you verify. There are ways you subject the story to some queries. You try to identify, to ensure, verify, such that and to say so that you won't become a carrier of false messages ignorantly. But again, there's no doubt in the fact that that's where social media today is where the news fly fastest. A couple of weeks ago, our brother who just finished his service and the National Health Commission when I saw the news, I said I wasn't going to put a call through to him. I'm just going to wait and pray and hope that this news is not true. And I pray that it will not be true at the end of the day, because what the news platform was saying was egregious. The infractions that they said our brother committed was unthinkable. They're not Razikula Hassan, my former mirror at MSSN that I know. So, and lo and behold, that had turned out to be the truth. And I couldn't have imagined a situation where a social media outlet, a news outlet, will sit down, concoct falsehood, and have the temerity and audacity to send it out. And once, like the social media, one is features that as soon as you press send, then the news is, if a student of mine just did his PhD and somebody sent a thing to me from Canada, I said, look at the world now. We just did something at the University of Ibadan. Somebody is now sending his picture to me from Canada. So one of the negativities of the social media today is that it provides opportunity, platform for those whose mind are sick, who are purveyors of falsehood, those who transact in infractions. And as Muslims, if you are not careful, you run against the instruction of Allah as contained in Ayah 6 of Surah 49. What about cyber stalking and cyberbullying? We are all aware of this. We find instances of people who have been stalked on the social media, and the stalking in the virtual became practical in the physical, such that the person who was stalked and bullied eventually committed suicide. What about transvaluation of social values? When you say transvaluation, what used to be normal before in our world has now become abnormal, no thanks to social media. For a couple of weeks, now it's going to months now, I decided I wasn't going to click on TikTok on my phone. The TikTok came to my phone automatically, and I didn't install TikTok. I said I wasn't going to click on it anymore, because whenever I did that, what I would see are things that are egregious, things that would run against what I cherish, my value. But again, I know that doing that, it's like Yoruba will say, that's the challenge. That's where we are going to run this off, finding a balance between beauty and ugliness. So we now have social media has brought us to a situation where what we call transvaluation of social values now operate. What we consider normal before has become abnormal, and the abnormal has become normal. No thanks to social media. Nowadays, everybody can become producers of news. Everybody can become, you can become a dramatist in your room. And before you know, you just send it out, everybody begin to laugh into it and begin to like it. Aside from that, those of us who work in the university system, we now see a negative impact of social media on the communication skill of our students. When you write when you compose text messages on the WhatsApp, for example, nobody will query you for committing grammatical blunders. But we now see that those blunders have been transformed or transferred into formal setting, bad English everywhere. And the way they write, the way they speak, the way they write. What about health issues? I say health issues. Once you are addicted to social media, you are there on the net, We've heard stories. In fact, my wife had to take the phone away from our boy the other day because she caught him around 12 midnight. He was still on the social media at 12 midnight. What would the result from that? After a while, there will be health issues and there will be anxiety. Because it was there because he didn't want to miss out on anything that is going to happen. These are challenges for us. We've had stories of people who develop depression because people are not liking their posts. People now have two types of families. There are real families and there are virtual families. The virtual families are now more important than the real families. Unfortunately, that's where we find ourselves, with grave implication for our society. What about al-fasha? Indecencies of all kinds. And for me, this is most challenging when we recall that once we give our young ones a hand phone, as soon as you give your boy or your girl a hand phone, you are giving the world to him or her. You are handing over the whole world to him or her. You are saying he has become free. But again, unfortunately, that's a world you can't monitor 24/7. In fact, in my home, occasionally we sometimes request for the phone without letting them know, bring your phone, unlock it. Then we try to look at what is war or our world has meant. Because if you don't monitor, something that is not expected is not inspected. If you don't expect it, you won't inspect it. And the more you are aware, the more we are aware of the evils in our world today, the more anxious we become for our children. We need to be there all of the time. We are handing over the world to them, but let's ensure we hold the rope in our hands. Find a way to hold on to the rope. Let's not work with impression. Let's not work with the notion that they are mature. Let's keep in mind that Allah is going to ask us on the day of resurrection how they comport their lives while on earth. The Prophet said, brethren, how do we find the balance? How do we ensure we tie our future down? Let's begin with our families. Let each one of us begin with our families. Let each one of us begin with our individual relationship inside our families. Let's establish a family that will be based on piety, God consciousness. Let's ensure that we are aware of the boundaries that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created as given to us. The muharramat, those things that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made forbidden, in al-halal bayyin wa in al-haram bayyin wal halal haram bayyin fa bainahuma umur mushtabihat. Let's make sure that we have sittings with our kids, with our children, and make clear to them the boundaries. Let's tell them that they should watch what they watch. Let them know that these are things that they should not watch as Muslims. Inna sam'a wal basara wal fuhada kullu ulaika kana anhu mas'ula. Allah says everything you use your eyes in watching, everything you use your ears in listening to, and your soul, your heart, kullu ulaika kana anhu mas'ula. All of them you should be held to account for them. Number two, let's tell our kids, because they represent our future, that one of the indices of success on earth and in the day of resurrection is the kind of friends we make. Ask them, who is your friend? There are online friends all over nowadays. And those online platforms that most of us as elderly ones, we will not be aware of. Let's ask them, who are their friends? What type of friends are they keeping? What kind of circle do they belong? Let's engage them in discussion through which we get to know what they are thinking is or what their thinkings, quote unquote, are. This is very, very important. Aside from that, as I mentioned, social media is also an opportunity. The day I discovered that Facebook was owned by Mark Zuckerberg, and every day a Facebooker click on Facebook, Zuckerberg makes more $1 million. I ask myself, when shall we also become producers of value, the Muslim world? We need to, one of the interactions we need to have with our kids, with our young ones, is to challenge their imagination, is to let them know that Allah says in the Quran, Ya mashal jinn wal ins in istata'tu an tanfudhu min aqtari samawati wal ardi fanfudhu la tanfudhuna illa bisultan. In Surah Al-Rahman, Allah says, all the communities of ins wal jinn, of mankind and jinn, in istata'tu, if you can, and tanfudhu min aqtari samawati, if you can penetrate the deepest horizons of the heavens. Fanfuzu, why don't you do it? Try it. La tanfudhuna illa bisultan. But you won't be able to do it except by a power. A power. Allah says bisultanin. Allah has not said bisultanin, with a power. And that power belongs to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the power that ensures that the bird flies. When the bird flies, in Surah Al-Mulk, chapter 67, Allah asks us rhetorically, Allah says, if you contemplate the birds as they flap their wings, Allah says, the flapping of their wings, which ensures that they stay there up in the sky, is made possible by Allah. It's Allah who has made it possible for them to do that. It is that power that human beings now leverage when we produce airplanes. It is also that same power that America, Russia, and every other, China, every other, the North has leveraged upon when they now begin to penetrate, having satellites in the skies. I once read a book titled The Stupid American. America goes it's in the skies, it's in space, in order to be free from being attacked from space, and in order to be free to attack anywhere from space. So whenever I have interaction with my young ones, and matters come to social media, digital age, technology, I ask them, think about something that you are also going to add, you are going to come up with. Think about a discovery, something that will set the Muslim world free. And I challenge them, for example. I said, for so long a time, if I want to eat, I have to go home, collect my food from my wife, and take it to office. If you are social media, somebody was the one who discovered TikTok, who produced TikTok. Somebody came up with Instagram. Why don't you also think of something, of an app that will make it possible for me, for my wife to cook my food? As soon as she finishes with it, she attaches it to a computer or something, and I can now download my food in my house. They will say, no, that's impossible. I say, throw away impossibility from your lexicon. It's, if you can imagine it, then know that it is possible. This relates to our future. This relates to we challenging the imaginative capability of our young ones, such that we now stop being consumer nations, the Muslim world. As soon as it is done in the US, we import it to Saudi Arabia. As soon as it is done in China, we import it into Nigeria. When shall we? La khaira fi ummatin ta'kulu ma la tazra. A scholar said, that nation has no value. That nation that eats that which it does not produce. Wala khaira fi ummatin talbas ma la tasna. And that nation also has little value. That nation that wears that which it does not produce. So the social media, one of the challenges for me is that it's ours, but not ours. Somebody is controlling it. A couple of days ago, about a week ago, there was anxiety on the social platform when they said that those who are on Facebook they can't access their Facebook, that they shut down. I said, good. I said, alhamdulillah, let Facebook be shut down so that the Muslim world can now come up with an alternative. Why must we continue to be there? Why? And that's for me, when I discuss modernity, that's one of the things that the politics of modernity. The West sees itself as the world, and ironically, the world constitutes the West as the world. It's we. We are the consumers. We consume what the West produces. In consuming what the West produces, we make the West the center, the epicenter of the world. We cede our freedom to them. By constantly looking up to the West, we delude ourselves. We shut our imaginative capacities down. We solace ourselves with where we have found ourselves today, without knowing, without thinking, without addressing the necessity for us to rescue ourselves from this abyss of lack of productivity. So these are dimensions, these are perspectives that are very, very important as far as the social media, Islam, and our future is concerned. And again, coming home, we need some legal framework that would ensure that social presence, social interactions, the person, the social media that came up with that fake news, that polluted, that sought to cast aspersions on the character and the personality of our brother is taken through the law. But we need more than that. All of us as Ummah, we also need to talk to ourselves. Before you press button, send, before you forward a message, ask yourself, if you forward a message that is false and it becomes an issue, you are going to be held to account by it on the day of resurrection. These are ethics to everything. There are ethical conducts in Islam. And that's why I began. That's it's a zina, it's an opportunity, it's an adornment. But once you say you are free, if you say you are beautiful, beauty has responsibility. So in conclusion, my perspective on this, my approach has been to remind us, albeit briefly, of what Islam is. What I've also sought to do is to not just provide some nuggets about how we can move from being a Muslim by chance to Muslim by choice and work with our identity or our affiliation to this way. I've also tried to look at some perspectives on the way we relate or our presence on social media and the matters arising for us as Ummah, not least being the necessity for us to ensure that when people are going mad, we refrain from joining the mad train. Let's avoid a situation where the lexicon, the vocabulary of that's Italian law, that is not the lexicon, the discourse of a believer. When the whole world could go mad or can go mad, you as a Muslim need not go mad with the world. Because as Muslims, you as a believer, male or female, whenever Allah decides on a matter, this is the place I need you to be. You can't say you have an option. You can't. To say you have an option is to seek an easy path to perdition. I pray that this interaction would have worth the time we have all invested in. And I pray that Allah counts them as act of ibadah for us all. أقول ما تسمعون والسلام عليكم.
Takbir. Allahu Akbar. Thank you, our distinguished professor. That has been an excellent 1 hour, 10 minutes of receiving and learning from your feet. The platform is now open for questions, and our facilitator, Imran Adewale Salami, will coordinate that. Our preference is for people to post their questions on the QA tab, but I believe we will also ask people who want to raise up their hand so that we can also hear from the audience. Over to you, Imran.
Thank you, sir. Prof, we have question on the Q&A tab, but I don't know what you want to do. You want to take it directly there, or you want me to read it for you?
Please read it for me so that
Okay, sir.
I can follow you.
Also, too, we will just try and open up opportunity for people on the audience about 2 people on the audience to talk. But I will go with the Q&A tab first. The first question, sir, I will take two questions at a time. The first question is from Oyewola Kinde, Dr. Oyewola Kinde, and it goes thus. Without social media, how would Zoom be able to capture us in our place, irrespective of distance? That's number one. Number two, the second one from Galaxy A52, I can't get the name, and it says thus. Social media, despite some of its negative sides, can be likened to the chapter of Surah An-Nasr. It appears to have blossomed Islam to the extent many join Islam in folds in foreign land. How do we build on this momentum with these social media tools? The question is actually from architect Abdurraouf Yomilawa. Thank you, sir. Maybe you can take those two.
Thank you. We thank our interventors for the interventions. My presentation appeared to recognize that, and that's why I use the similitude of the sanitary inspector and the horticulturist. Without social media, I said it in my speech that it would not be possible for me, seated as I am in the north here, while you are seated as you are in the south, for us to interface at this present moment. So it's one of those, and I cited Quranic verse where Allah talk about the zina and some of the bounties that it continually releases to humanity. Social media is one of it. For me, it's remembering that it's like a knife. With a knife, you can peel an orange. With a knife, you can commit murder. So it's like that. There's no doubt in fact that leveraging on this for Islam, Islam is an agenda of Allah's subhanahu wa ta'ala. Look at what's happening in Gaza. Gaza has produced more new refugees than Israeli or the Americans can imagine. So, and that's been possible as a result of social media. So, but doing that, leveraging its opportunity consciously is what we need to do. At a forum, somebody called our attention to how most Muslim organizations are not less prominent on the social media, whereas we still have a long way to go. And I'm aware of the fact that I don't want to mention a number of Muslim organizations that were there that they have started working on their social media presence. In fact, somebody close to me again was also giving me nuggets that I've had lectures here, speeches here. I need to sit down and produce them so that there could be extra values. No doubt about that. The more we come, the more we discover that we have to go. So I guess that should be my response to that. I want to thank our interventors for their interventions. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. The next two questions actually follow similar pattern. I'll take that one before I take Adebayo Joe from the audience. The next one is from Majia Aminat Oluwa, and the summary is thus. There's a disturbing trend in that many Muslims make nasty skits and memes about Islam and its practices just for likes and comments. What are the prescribed punishments in the Quran or Hadith for this act if done deliberately? That's for Ajay Aminat Oluwa. The second one, I couldn't get the name, it's just the phone that is showing. It said that how can Nigerian Muslims leverage social media to counter the negative stereotypes and misconceptions about Islam, both domestically and internationally? First one, what are the prescribed punishment for someone that actually use social media to make nasty skits and memes about Islam? And the second one is how do we leverage social media, at least if they're using it, to counter the negative stereotypes and misconceptions about Islam? Thank you.
Thank you. In the course of my presentation, I hinted about the necessity for some legal framework that would attend to instances just like my sister has portrayed now, engaging in negative representation of what others hold there. And actually there might be some legal provisions in the Constitution against that. We need to explore that. I'm also aware a couple of days ago in a platform that I belong to, it's for fun. Somebody was trying to make fun by using his Aja 1 million, his Awaka 1 million. In other thinking that he wants people to laugh. I took an exception to that because you can't make jest of the words of Allah all in your desire or attempt to make people laugh. No, it's not done. What punishment there's between him and Allah is going to hold him account. If you were to be in Saudi Arabia, for example, or the person were to be in Malaysia, for example, that post can be taken to the court and it will be given ta'zir. It will be given some lashes and it will stop doing it, no matter the age. So that has been taken care of. But we are in Nigeria. They will say that's freedom to go mad, freedom to dance naked in the market square. So that will be my response to my sister's intervention. Now, with reference to how can the Ummah in Nigeria leverage social media to counter stereotypes against Islam? Quran 2 verse Ayah 120, until when the world comes to an end, when Allah pressed the button, bam, and the world ceases to exist, that is when the war against Islam will cease. That's the reality. But as far as what we can do, we continue to do what we have been doing and scale it up. We have not been doing enough. That's why I mentioned my presentation that, a couple of minutes ago now in response to a question, that most Muslim organizations, their presence on the social media is less than 30%. It's less than 30%. We're not active enough. We're beginning from the big ones and the lesser ones. We're not active enough. And once we are not active enough, people are not going to hear our stories. People are not going to tell our stories for us. Look at what happened. I don't want to go there. Look at what happened in Plateau. Look at what happened that have been happening around the country. Whenever there are issues concerning Islam and Muslims, you begin to struggle to hear the ideal perspective of the Muslims. And it's because it's a big battle, my brother. I'm privileged to serve and to provide some assistance. Whenever Christian Association of Nigeria does what it does, what we've discovered is that as soon as you are engaging them on a matter, they are busy doing another thing. So it's like you can't sleep. Once you want to engage them on this platform, at this level, you need to be awake 24/7. But ironically, we are sleeping 17/24. So that's we need to do more. Continue to make effort. The San is there.
Okay, yes, San is there. I have two questions from the audience. Two hands have already been enabled from the audience. After San has taken his questions, and then Mrs. Adebisi Bakari to go ahead. San, please go ahead, sir.
Thank you so much, sir. And thank you, Prof, for that brilliant lecture. Mine is not really a question, but a comment. Because in the course of your presentation, you reference the fact that social media has not been able to do some things. And in particular, you use an example of when your wife prepared food for you at home, and that why can't such food be sent by the social media? Prof, social media can actually do that. And I'll give you an example which has to do with myself this week. From Monday till Friday, yesterday, I was in Abuja. I came back yesterday. And I stayed in the course of the week in 3 different hotels. For social media, I use social media to ensure that my meals for Iftar and the Sahur were delivered to me. I ordered them online. And they were delivered to me the way I want it. And at the exact time, I placed the order. So if not for social, because I didn't like what they were doing in my hotel, I don't like their food. And I know this restaurant which is now operating virtually. And I use social media and also GPRS to tell them my location.
Yes.
3 different that. And believe me, they were all delivered to time. So when Nigeria prepare your food, sir, all you need to do is that just go to Uber or Boat and many other delivery agents. Believe me, your food will be delivered. It will be delivered as you want it.
Sure.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you,
So
sir.
social media, yes, has really gone a long way to improve our life tremendously.
Yeah.
Thank you for that insightful and
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Mr. Bakari, can you unmute, ma? Mr. Bakari. Okay.
Hello.
Okay,
Hello.
go ahead, ma'am. Yes, go ahead, ma'am.
Yeah, good morning.
Good morning, madam.
Yes, sir. My name is Alaja PC Bakari. Yeah, this lecture is very educative. Yeah, so I really appreciate it. But my first question, not really question, is that is it not possible to be having this type of lecture at least 2 or 3 times in a year? Then secondly, of course, like you said, when you are giving us the lecture, social media is very good, no doubt about it. But what of the negative parts of it? Is there anything that we can do as a leaders of Muslim in respect of this? Then thirdly, of course, I'm worried, especially about our actors and actresses. The way they dress. I don't know if there is anything our Muslim clerics or the Muslim scholars can do about it. Because I could remember vividly during our forefathers, Baba Ogunde, for instance, group. We really enjoyed the theater group. At least they don't dress nakedly because they are trying to doing films. So, but these days we notice that, especially the actresses, they are supposed to be a kind of
Role model.
you understand? Role model. Thank you very much for the. Yeah, they're supposed to be role model. They are the ones committing some of our younger generation. So I don't know if there's anything we can do as a Muslim scholars or as a Muslim leaders in respect of this. Thank you.
Prof, you can take that one, sir, before we
Okay, yeah. I want to thank our mama for reflections and for engaging some of the issues that I touched on in my presentation. No doubt, what can we do to conscientize our people in Nollywood? Well, you know, they are in business. 1, 2, they want to tell you that they are free. This is free, that they have freedom to be naked. As I mentioned in my presentation, it's about freedom to go gaga. But once it comes to portrayal of Islam, what I guess has been happening is that some Muslim organizations have been rising up to register and to call for a stop to the negative representation of Islam in the films being produced by Nigerian film producers. But with reference to the celebration of nudity by some of these actors, again, for those of them who are Muslims, the best we can do is to appeal to remind them of what Islam demands of them. Unfortunately, as I mentioned towards the end of my presentation, Nollywood sees Hollywood as its exemplar. So whatever is happening in Hollywood in the United States of America, people in Nollywood want it to happen in Nigeria. And Hollywood, you know, is there's no modesty. So it's so far as it's about film production, it's about doing it, acting. There are no limits. Whereas Islam would say there are limits. Unfortunately, that's the situation now. Hollywood is
It's an organization not under the control of any Muslim organization. So it's all about business. So whenever we have opportunity, Muslim organization can also focus attention on that aspect of the challenges confronting us. I want to thank Stan for his intervention. I also remember that the challenge I threw has to do with attaching food from my home to me in the office. I want a station where my wife can attach my food to me, and I can download it in my office. It's impossible. Some youth told me, I said, don't stop talking about impossibility, because it was considered impossible years ago for people to go into space. I mean, to space, space exploration. Now we are having flying cars. We used to watch that when we were watching James Bond films many years ago. Flying cars are beginning to become realities in our world. I want to thank you too for that. Yeah.
Thank you, sir. Dr. Adeduntan, the first part of the question about having a regular sessions during the year, sir. Maybe you want to address it.
I'll take it as part of my closing remark. Let's use the time to quickly take other questions.
Okay, sir. I'm still taking 2 more questions from the audience.
Okay.
The attendee that does not really have name, please change your name so that we can know who you are. There's a one Techno KH7. I won't call you until you do that. And there's another one, Xiaomi 2201171T. I won't call you until you change it. Just change your name so that we know who you are. The next question goes to Hamid Ali and then Sharaf Mohammed. Hamid, could you unmute, please? And yes, go ahead with the question.
Okay. Assalamu alaikum. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Professor, for the wonderful presentation. I mean, the topic is I mean, the solid of Nigeria. I mean, it's solid remarkable. I want to quickly first talk on the issue of attaching food. I think right now, I don't know if you are aware of quantum computing and quantum technology. I think a lot of investment is going into that in China, and I think Google is also doing a lot of investment in that. That will, if that is done, that will become a reality because teleporting will be possible. So therefore means that a whole lot of things are happening. And that brings me to my question. The question is that today we are reacting to what social media has now become. I'm now thinking that is us to think ahead and be proactive about what is about to come. The quantum computing, quantum mechanics that they're already developing, and in maybe another 50 years, it will be the norm. It will not become people can live anywhere that they want to live without even entering into any aircraft. So that is, like you said, there's nothing impossible, and a lot of research has been going on in that direction. Secondly, my concern also on the when you talk about the future of Nigeria, I'm really concerned because the way we embrace technology in the Nigerian space is that we don't even, we overdo things where these things are even invented. There are restrictions. There are some sites you cannot enter in the West. In the Middle East, even WhatsApp call you cannot make. So they put some restriction, but when it comes to Nigerian situation, it's free for all. I'm thinking, I don't think Islamic organization and other meaning Islamic scholars should be like a pressure group and make it maybe a law, although we have some laws, and to make sure that those laws are enforceable so that we can the work of parenting in Nigeria will become much easier, and we can have sanity in our society. I mean, for Nigeria. So that will be my question. Thank you very much.
Okay. One more question, sir, Doctor, before, so that I can take both together. Sharaf Mohammed, go ahead. Sharaf Mohammed, unmute.
Okay, assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you so much for the intervention today, Prof. It has really helped in bringing to the fore some of the topical issues. Right now, it is from your speech today, as well as from what we've seen, it's undisputed that social media has significant benefits. Like if alluded to it, it also has adverse impacts, both on social and mental well-being, like you said. We also know, I think the last caller also talked about some other emerging technologies. AI is also going to be here very soon. It's advancing very well, and it's likely to even be more significant. And we've seen how COVID, which is a major event, has helped to change the way people come together and organize themselves. It's very easy to do events via Zoom these days. Before COVID, it's actually very difficult. Remote jobs are more prevalent these days, and they're very acceptable. Now, my question is centered on the youth that have actually been digital natives all this while. They don't know any other thing except with these technologies, mobile phones. They were born in that era, and this technology will keep growing. So my question is, what specific advice do you have for them? All that are their parents, what can we do to ensure that they balance it? Because the technology is very clear that the advantages are significant. How do we live? Thank you.
You can go ahead with those two questions, Prof.
Yeah, thank you. I want to thank again brothers for their reflection. Brother Hamid Ali, the computer, what do you call it now? Telecomputing or something. Which you said is currently being research is currently being undertaken in China and Google. Again, that speaks of my concern that I had before, that at the end of the day, when eventually this become realities, we'll continue to become, we remain what we have, or who we have always been, as consumers. If we have some of our brothers who are in tech, who are in the ICT, can we have a boot camp for them where I want to generate questions for them and fire their imagination? Can we create something like a cave for them to think out of the box? Because what you have just said now, when eventually that comes to reality, we'll be importing that. We'll remain what we have always been. That's my concern. That's the rider to your intervention. I do not, what the legal framework, as I mentioned, we have the National Assembly, whose constitutional role is promulgation of laws. And you are right that the best that we can probably do, Muslim organization, is to come together, prepare private bills on the necessity for some control by government on the way the uses to which we put social media. That's very, very necessary. Just as you said, you find yourself in Saudi Arabia, you can't just make some calls. That's true. So with liberty, that's what, in the course of my presentation, I said, when you give a hand phone to your child, the hand phone is like a goat with a rope on its neck. Don't also hand over the rope to your kids. Have a way to control it. So it's lack of control, which Americans refer to as liberty. once you have liberty, it's an opportunity to go mad, as I always like to say. So everybody will suffer for it. The person who gave the freedom and the person whom or against whom the freedom is being exercised. So that will be my reflection. Now that links to what our brother came in to also speak about. He said that technology is growing, and as he was saying that, I was afraid. I was shivering, and because I know that it is growing. Look at the AI, the so-called AI, when it was demonstrated how what you see on your phone, the image you are seeing, once it is taken through AI, may not actually be the real world. Then I said, what? If this is good, then you place the good and the bad on the scale. If the evil outweighs the bad, the good, then you throw it away. I can't imagine that kind of being there in the world when what I would ordinarily consider as the truth has now become the relativity of truth is a tragedy that we know of, those of us in this field. So how do we work with our kids? It's a responsibility that all of us as parents have to rise up to shoulder. And I've hinted at some step that we need to take in order to do this. Be there, unexpectedly. Inspect what is not expected is not inspected. Be there, ask questions, examine, go to their room. At night, be like Umar ibn Khattab, will not sleep because Allah is going to ask you about them on the day of resurrection. So may Allah continue to assist us as parents in this strange world that we have found ourselves.
Thank you, sir. Prof. Thank you. Prof, we seem to have got a lot of questions here. On the QA tab, I can see 27. And on the on the participant side, I can actually see like 4 here. Okay. But just to balance it out, I'll take only 2 from the participant side so that we can close that chapter, and then I'll focus on the QA tab. Just randomly, I'm picking a female and a male. Please, Avenebudu. Then afterward is Oloye Remi Babalola. Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.
Good afternoon, all.
Good afternoon.
That was an insightful presentation. And then also, let me use this medium.
Hello.
To thank and appreciate the convener, the facilitator. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we are now hearing you.
Okay. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Let me say that that was an insightful presentation. And then also, I would like to use this medium to thank the convener and the facilitator and our dear guest speaker.
Sure.
My question to the Prof is that in the course of your presentation, you made mention that Muslims are the biggest enemies of Islam. Sorry, can you just shed more light on that? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Then Oloye Remi Babalola, and then Prof, you can take both together.
Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum salam.
Well, I thank you for this lecture, and my own is more of a take-home for Islamic organizations, because you've advised and you just threw it out on us to act and be proactive, especially in being proactive in social media activities. And just now on the issue of legislation, as a member, an active member in the Muslim organizations in Nigeria, I think we need to call on any of the participants that are here that are belonging to various organizations to find a way of coming together, either under the umbrella of Muslim, or even lead a group that will set up a committee on legislation that will be of benefit to Muslims in terms of all these malaise in the social media. Secondly, is the fact that how can we now be proactive? We are always working in silos from different organizations, be you Micah or Companion or NOSFAT or Saudi and Co. So maybe it's be a good way to achieve a significant point if we come together. If NOSFAT has a media outfit, if Companion is good in social media projections, can't we rally run and make it bigger and stronger? That will not be a focus, a source of doing some of these things. So in summary, what I'm trying to say is that we need not just to throw it out like that, Islamic organization should do this. I think it's time for us to take anybody listening here to know that we need to call on the major notable Islamic organization in Nigeria for us to come together, set up various committees to achieve some milestone in this area, because it's becoming very important. If we're not doing anything on IA, now they are moving to quantum mechanics and computing, and we're not doing anything. We're now becoming reactive, and at that time, we would have faced a lot of problems. So just to reiterate and call on members of various organizations that are here for us to come together, sit down, and formulate ways to achieve a better way, a better life for Muslims. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam. Okay, sir. Prof, you can go ahead, sir.
Yeah, thank you. We thank Oloye Remiba for his reflection. Lectures, gatherings like this would achieve its purpose if it doesn't just end here. If there are actionable or deliverables that we can take away from there, it would be good if your suggestion is acted upon together with others that Allah is destined to come out from this interaction. It would be good, and Allah would reward us all for the invitation from MD that we all hearken to, and we have added value to it. My sister, who took one of the points that I made, when I said that if you ponder carefully, you discover that one of the greatest enemies of Islam are Muslims. You put that into context in the sense that if I, as a Muslim, find myself in a situation, I'm in a place where the majority are non-Muslims, and I begin to act in ways that would feed into the stereotypes people have already or before about Islam, then I become an enemy of Islam, because I'm not projecting the way Islam, the way it should be projected. That's talking at the individual level. Look at what's happening globally. It pains me, as I suspect to pain you, that since when now, Gaza has been there. The best that Muslim world, from Saudi America to Malaysia, has done is to either keep quiet or continue to pray. We have no nation, no Muslim nation has been able to take any practical action. And they have not been able to do that for some of the politics I mentioned the other time. So when you want to talk about who's the enemy of the Palestinians in this system, is it only America or Israel? No, their greatest enemies are Muslims, who should have taken practical action but cannot, because of the fact that they are equally in their bees. They are like pawns in the chessboard of the global powers. So these are ways by which you can expatiate and expropriate the problematic of Muslims being enemy of Islam. When you act or you fail to act in line with what Allah has enjoined in Quran, when you act in ways that disincentivize people's approach to Islam or acceptance of Islam, then you are an enemy of Islam. You are like a crocodile in the only stream in the village, preventing people from coming to the stream to access water.
Thank you, Prof. Thank you, sir. We will now concentrate on the Q&A tab. I've also been trying to comment questions that we do know. I've also been trying to answer them. We've got some contributors that have made some comments. And Zuleka Olowe, I recognize your comments. All the 3 comments that you made, it has actually been said in there. about promotion of, let us all use Islam to promote Islamic values online and empower our youth to also show their leadership skill through social medias and as well as community building and support. Prof has just mentioned, although you remember Balola, and Prof has also emphasized on that all our organization, NASFAT, MICA, and all of them, they should actually establish a strong presence in that. Prof, the next question I will take is from Alaji Remi Bello. How do we manage the risk of our youth having double face? A good face from on the home front and the bad one on the social media. That's number one. Omobalani Dabiri, I will post the lecture here. I'll post the link for the lecture here at the next lecture. We also have a WhatsApp group. If you would like to join, just drop your number. I'll put it in that WhatsApp group. The next one I want Doctor to take is on the Techno KH7. He's asking what is the authenticity of the lecture. I don't know whether Prof would like to take it. If you want to take it, what is the authenticity of the lecture posted on social media by Sheikh Habib Adam on the coming of Prophet Isa, which is said that Prophet Isa will not come back as told us even right from our childhood? If you want to take it, you can take it, sir, and as well as the first one regarding youth having double face. What you can do?
On the second, on what Sheikh has mentioned about the coming of Jesus Christ, just as Adi Nabitoli informed us, you don't answer all questions, particularly questions that you have data information about. I've not listened to that speech, and I'm not. I don't think I need to. So I want to advise that let's listen to it again, those who are interested, and see the arguments, and see to what extent we want to work with it. May Allah reward Sheikh Habib for his efforts and all of us for our efforts in Islam. The first question on how do we approach or confront our kids living double, not only double face, but double life. It's double life. And for those of us who are in university system, we relate to that on a daily basis. We see children from Muslim homes. Their father will bring them for the first year they are coming to the campus. You know that this is a guy from a Muslim home. As soon as his father goes back, or his mother, goes back home, it becomes something else. So how do you do that? How do we deal with that? The first thing is to pray for our kids. That's that prayer is a shield. And Ramadan has forced that. We can't be with our kids 24/7. We can't be where they are. Reality of life, one year. But our strongest shield is the consciousness wherever they are. Let their desire to follow Allah's injunction be paramount in their hearts. This one way, this should be the starting point. And in fact, it should be the end point. The second approach is for us to monitor. I was emphasizing a quotation. What is not expected is not inspected. You have your kids at the University of Ibadan, for example. You are in Lagos. They know that you come to them, you come and visiting on a monthly visit. Don't make it monthly visits. Do unscheduled visits. That's one way to monitor it, to monitor them. Go to them, pick their phone. That's one way to monitor it. And they will know that, this Baba is, but we're also doing that, knowing fully well that we can't match them, particularly kids of today. So we need to take action. Some of those actions are what I just mentioned that as they came to my mind. But the most important one is for us to pray, because it's Allah. Allah who is the one who guides people's heart. So if you have concern about one of them, or two of them, or some of them not towing the path, so that Allah, by His will, by His grace, will bring them back to where we want them to be. It's Allah who can do it, particularly kids of today, of the 21st century, of computer whatever.
Thank you, Sir Prof. We have a hard stop at 12 o'clock, and then we can only take 2 more questions. Most of the questions here on the social media, which you have answered, but I'll try and go to other questions which are pertinent to Islam too, but less on social media. There's one Bashir Ali is asking a question. Can you use zakat to build a borehole for a community that lacks clean water? I really want a...
No, without missing word, please go ahead. No, without missing word, go ahead. If you chance upon the facticity of your words having reached Nisab, and you want to give it out, you give it out. You see that these people need water, and the money you want to give out can discharge the assignment. Do it. Allah will reward you. In fact, there are lessons that we can learn doing things like that, which are very, very instructive. Maybe when another time Allah will provide opportunity. Barakallah.
Thank you, sir. Another one from our mother, Bimpe. She said that she used to check her children's phone just to, in addition to checking the content and as well to also, you know. But our question is, I mean, people are telling her that she's intruding into their privacy and that it is wrong. So she actually wants advice.
When may Allah not let the evil that we fear happen. If she stops doing that, and the child or the daughter is found or find herself in situations that are unfortunate, she is the one that will bear the count, not those people who are saying she's intruding. What privacy has my child got that I can? Who's my child? Whose child is the child? And does he or she has a father or mother apart from me? So we are not in America. So we are Muslims, and we have values that we need to protect. What our sister is doing is discharging our parental responsibility. And I say barakallah.
Thank you, sir. The last one, which I actually wanted to take before handing over to Dr. Adeduntan, is from Tajuddin Hamza.
Okay.
He said, how can we moderate the amplification of controversies in the Dawa landscape as being fueled by the social media? I believe you must have actually understood this one.
I understand that until we have a council that would discipline the scholars. We've had a similar situation in your state. We've had interaction with the League of Imams, some leaders of the League of Imams and Afiz, on how to rein in the excesses of some of these so-called scholars. So we need some structure to do that. We need that. Until then, everybody is free to do whatever they like. Wallahu ta'ala.
Okay, sir. Dr. Adeduntan, over to you, sir. In the meantime, Latif Bakari, I will try and get all the records of if Prof also has the records, all his Islamic records. If he has it on online, I will try and get it and post it on the
website. And on the lecture. Let me take the opportunity to first of all thank Professor Afiz and Oladosu, renowned scholar. I informed him very late, actually, because of my own work schedule. But I obtained a number from one of his own brothers, and I've not even called him. When he called me to say, I understand, make inquiry regarding, I'm busy where I am. I'm sure you have tried to reach me. I'm available for whatever. May Allah continue to elevate you. Your name continue to be celebrated. It's been an extremely rewarding last 2 hours. For me, the critical takeaway from Prof's deliveries and his responses to questions is the importance of knowledge to us as Muslims. The importance of Muslims also being in the forefront of scientific and technological innovations and inventions. For me, that's the way I want to summarize the most important thing, the Prof. And if you take that, we also use this opportunity to also give Prof himself, being a key advisor to many Muslims organizations, including the Supreme Council for Islamic Affairs in Nigeria and the League of Imams and Afiz. We as Muslims, we still have a lot to do in the area of education. Prof, as a scholar, I'm sure you have access to data beyond what we do have access to. But there was a report recently, I mean, it just confirmed what I've always known, that showed that the top 20, 30 states on the league table of states with the highest out of school children, they are essentially majority states. In some instances, almost as high as 30–40%. For me, this is a challenge that the Ummah needs to confront. In reality, without today's Western education, these people will continue to be excluded from the modern economy. When they are excluded from the modern economy, the Ummah will continue to be impoverished and they will struggle to find their feet economically. So I think if there's any one thing that should attract the attention of the Ummah as represented by the Supreme Council for Islamic Affairs and the League of Imams and Afiz is how do we need to be more deliberate in ensuring that Muslims have the benefit of both Western and Islamic education. If we can put a strategy together and we execute ruthlessly, I believe this. So that's an assignment we also want to pass back to our leaders through Prof. Speaking to this, it gives me an opportunity to recognize someone who is in this meeting room, lecture room today, who has been contributing very silently in his own way to pushing education for Al-Majri. We have in our midst one of others, Alhaji Ibrahim Lakankia, Waziri Kankia, who over the last 6–7 years, who has been spending, he has a program called Soccer for Al-Majris. He's been pushing the education and how to formalize the education of Al-Majri. May Allah continue to be with you. May He grant long life, good health. You are a source of pride to all of us. The other key point that came out from this is the need for us as parents to also work very closely with our children. A number of them are adults anyway, on and educating them on the positive side of social media and also the destructive side of social media. Anything that is not measured, that is not controlled, has the potential to become problematic. So it's extremely important that and I agree absolutely with Prof's response to that sister who asked a question regarding the children's phone, that we need to deal with this at the pace of to ensure we moderate they have access to. And I think, in one of the question tabs, there was a vision by a brother to the fact that we should also not forget that most of these platforms, especially, also have parental control, and we should not fail to exercise parental control. Recently, I expressed a concern to one of my colleagues in the office, and she actually drew my attention to how I could use parental control even further on iPhone to moderate what my teenager son is able to do, especially his ability to stay. Because the problem, sometimes they're not even visiting the wrong side, but they tend to overstay on social media to the detriment of their salat and their academic study. I think that's basically it. Let me use the opportunity to congratulate each and every one of us. Today we had about 222 participants, which is quite significant. May Allah continue to guide all of us. May we reap the full benefits of this month of Ramadan. In her last name, I pray. Our prof, who has been here with us, we celebrate and recognize our leaders, Alhaji Bakari, a number of them who are also here, Mr. Akinkekere, and a host of other leaders who are shining examples of Muslim leaders that we all look up to. May Allah continue to guide them, protect them, prolong their life in good health so that they can continue to be beacon of hope and we continue to drink from their fountain of knowledge. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you. The next lecture is tentatively next week, Saturday, same time, 10 a.m. We will actually send the communication out to the WhatsApp group and as well as and to the WhatsApp group. Thank you very much, sir. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Ma salam.
Salam.
Ma salam. And thank you very much, Dr. Adeduntan, for the kind remarks on me and my Sokap Al-Majri initiative. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala continue to bless us in all we do for humanity and Islam.
Alhamdulillah, sir. Good.
Shukran.
Amen.